Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting right into a really intense story from the Hebrew Bible.
That's right. We're looking at Judges, chapter 4.
It's quite the narrative. It starts, well, maybe predictably for Judges.
Yeah. Predictably difficult, maybe. The text says, after Ehud died, the Israelites once again did evil in the eyes of the Lord. That familiar pattern.
And the consequence falls quickly. It says, the Lord sold them strong language into the hands of Jabin, a king of Canaan who reigned in Hazor.
And this Jabin wasn't some minor local chief. He had serious military power, specifically through his commander, Sisera.
Right, Sisera. Based in Harosheth Hagoim, it says, and his power. The text makes a point of mentioning it.
It really does. 900 iron chariots. The pause on that. Iron chariots were, the cutting-edge military tech of the day. Think tanks, basically.
900. Wow. That's an overwhelming force for the Israelites at that time.
Absolutely terrifying. And it wasn't a short conflict. The oppression was brutal, cruelly oppressed, the text says.
And for how long?
20 years.
20 years. Just imagine living under that kind of, well, military dominance for 2 decades.
It grinds people down. There's a whole generation growing up knowing nothing else.
Yeah.
You can feel the despair building.
Exactly. And it's only after those 20 years, after really hitting bottom, it seems, that they finally act. We're told the Israelites cried to the Lord for help.
And that cry, finally, changes things. It sets the stage for, well, a pretty dramatic intervention.
It really does. Because the figures who emerge to answer this cry are, let's just say, quite memorable.
Definitely. It's not just about armies clashing. There's leadership, prophecy, hesitation, and some very unexpected twists.
Okay, so let's get into it. Who stepped up? The first key figure introduced is Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah, described as a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth. And crucially, the text notes she was leading Israel at that time.
Leading Israel. That's significant in itself, but her initial role described is more specific, isn't it?
It is. She's acting as a judge. He says she held court under the palm of Deborah, famous landmark between Ramah and Bethel.
So people came to her from all over Israel.
Seems like it. The Israelites came to her to have their disputes decided. She's a central authority figure, respected for her wisdom and justice.
Okay, so she's established as a leader, a judge, a prophetess, and then she takes a military initiative.
Well, she relays a divine command. She sends for a man named Barak, son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali.
And the message is direct, right, from God.
Explicitly, the Lord, the God of Israel, commands you. Go, take 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zebulun, lead them up Mount Tabor.
10,000 men, specific tribes, specific location, and there's a promise attached.
Yes, a crucial promise. God says through Deborah, I will lure Sisera with his chariots and his troops to the Kishon River and give him into your hands.
Okay, divine command, troop numbers, location, strategy, luring Sisera, and a promise of victory. Seems like a solid plan for Barak.
You'd think. But Barak hesitates. His response is famous, really.
What does he say?
He tells Deborah, if you go with me, I will go, but if you don't go with me, I won't go.
That's good. Well, it's conditional, isn't it? What do you make of that? Is it fear? Lack of faith?
It's debated, you know? Maybe he felt he needed her presence, the prophetess, for the troops' morale. Or maybe it was a lack of personal conviction. It definitely shows reliance on her, not just on the command itself.
So how does Deborah react to his condition?
She agrees. Very well, she says, I will go with you. But she immediately adds a consequence, a prophecy, really.
Yes, this is important.
She tells him, but because of the way you are going about this, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will hand Sisera over to a woman.
Wow. So victory is still assured, but the glory, the credit for taking down the main enemy commander, that's going to someone else, a woman.
Exactly. It sets up this incredible dramatic irony for the rest of the story.
And she does go with him.
Yep. The text confirms Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. He summons the tribes, Zebulun and Naphtali, gets his 10,000 men, and Deborah goes with them. The army's ready.
Now, before the battle, the narrative throws in this little detail that seems almost random at first, about Heber the Kenite.
Right. Not random at all, as it turns out. Heber, it says, was a descendant of Moses' brother-in-law, Hobab. He'd split off from the main Kenite group and pitched his tent near Kadesh.
And the crucial bit of info.
There were friendly relations between Jabin, king of Hazor, and the clan of Heber the Kenite.
Okay, so Heber's family is like neutral ground, or even friendly with the enemy King Jabin.
Exactly, which means his camp might seem like a safe haven for someone on Jabin's side. Like, say, Sisera, if things went badly for him. Remember that detail.
Got it. Okay, so meanwhile, word gets back to Sisera about Barak's move.
Yes, Sisera was told that Barak had gone up to Mount Tabor.
And just like Deborah predicted,
He takes the bait. Sisera gathers everything. His 900 iron chariots and all the men with him, all the way from Haroshet Hagoyim down to the Kishon River. He masses his forces right where God said he'd lure him.
the stage is set. Sisera's army is in the valley, near the river. Barak and his 10,000 are up on Mount Tabor. What happens next?
Deborah gives a command. Her words are just full of certainty. Go. This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?
That's powerful. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?
Right. So Barak charges down the mountain with his men.
And the battle, how's it described?
It's strikingly brief, actually. It says, at Barak's advance, the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and army by the sword.
The Lord routed them. So divine intervention is key here.
Absolutely central. And it specifically mentions Sisera himself abandoned his chariot and fled on foot, the mighty chariot commander running for his life.
Any idea how the Lord routed them? The text doesn't give battlefield specifics, does it?
It doesn't spell it out, but that mention of the Kishon River is suggestive. It's an area that can become swampy, especially after rain. Many commentators think maybe a sudden downpour or flood bogged down those heavy iron chariots.
Turning their greatest strength into a weakness in the mud.
Possibly. The text just emphasizes the divine action. God threw them into confusion, rendered the chariots useless, and gave the victory to Barak's foot soldiers.
And Barak presses the advantage.
Oh, completely. He pursues the fleeing army all the way back to Harosheth Hagoyim. The defeat is total. All the troops of Sisera fell by the sword. Not a man was left.
The entire army wiped out. The 20-year oppressors are gone.
The army is gone, but Sisera, the commander, is still alive, fleeing on foot.
And this is where Heber the Kenite comes back in.
Yeah.
And Deborah's prophecy.
Exactly. Where does Sisera run? Straight to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite.
And why there?
The text reminds us. Because there were friendly relations between Jabin, king of Hazor, and the clan of Heber the Kenite.
Yeah.
He thinks he's running to safety, to allies.
He's expecting sanctuary, hospitality.
Right. And Jael initially seems to offer it. She goes out to meet him, says, "Come, my lord, come right in. Don't be afraid." Classic Near Eastern welcome.
So he goes into her tent. She covers him up. He must feel some relief.
You'd imagine so. Exhausted, defeated, but maybe thinking he's safe for now.
Then he asks for water.
He does.
Yeah.
But she gives him milk. She opened a skin of milk, gave him a drink, and covered him up again.
Milk. That's interesting. Maybe richer, helps him sleep faster? Is it part of the hospitality? Or?
That could be seen as generous hospitality.
Yeah.
Or maybe as part calculation, helping him fall into that deep, exhausted sleep. The text doesn't explicitly state her motive at this point.
Right. So Sisera, feeling secure, tells Jael to basically act as a lookout.
Yeah, he says, stand in the doorway. If anyone comes by and asks, is anyone here, say no. He's putting his life entirely in her hands.
He trusts her and then falls fast asleep, totally exhausted.
And that's Joel's moment. This is where the story takes its most dramatic, visceral turn.
What does she do?
While he's deeply asleep, she takes action. Jael picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him.
A tent peg and a hammer. Tools of her everyday life.
Exactly, not weapons of war. And then the text is blunt. She drove the peg through his temple into the ground, and he died.
Wow. Wow, that's incredibly brutal and decisive.
It is. The commander of the mighty chariot army killed with a tent peg by a woman in her tent while he slept. It fulfills Deborah's prophecy in the most unexpected way.
So Barak then arrives, still looking for Sisera.
Yes, Barak turns up, pursuing Sisera. Jael goes out to meet him.
Does she follow Sisera's instructions to say no one's there?
No. She says to Barak, come, I will show you the man you're looking for.
And she leads him into the tent.
She does.
Yep.
And Barak sees him, Sisera lying dead, with the tent peg through his temple.
He sees the prophecy fulfilled. The honor did go to a woman.
Precisely. The military campaign achieved the army's defeat, but the ultimate symbol of victory, the death of the enemy general, was accomplished by Jael.
And what's the final outcome of all this?
With Sisera dead and his army destroyed, King Jabin's power is broken. The text says, on that day God subdued Jabin before the Israelites. And it wasn't immediate, but the hand of the Israelites grew stronger and stronger against Jabin until they destroyed him.
So this whole sequence, Deborah's leadership, Barak's campaign, Jael's act, leads to the complete end of that Canaanite oppression.
It does. It's a stunning turnaround. You go from 20 years of cruel oppression by an iron chariot army to its complete destruction and the eventual fall of the king responsible.
When you pull back and look at it, I mean, the divine plan unfolding, Deborah's confidence, Barak's caution maybe, and Jarell's shocking violence, it's complex.
It really is. You have the prophetess leader, the hesitant general who misses out on the honor, and this woman, Jael, whose actions are both decisive for Israel's victory and, well, deeply disturbing from a hospitality perspective. It challenges simple hero narratives.
It definitely makes you think about leadership, faith, opportunism, violence, all wrapped up in this one chapter.
For sure. The story shows victory coming through unexpected means, divine intervention, maybe the weather, and certainly through the actions of people outside the traditional warrior class.
So we've walked through Judges 4, the deep oppression under Jabin and Sisera, Deborah's call, Barak's campaign, that crucial battle, and Sisera's flight ending so dramatically in Jael's tent.
Yeah, leading finally to Israel, regaining the upper hand, and eventually destroying King Jabin. It's quite a journey in one chapter.
As we wrap up, what's a final thought for you? Maybe something for our listeners to chew on from this?
Well, maybe consider how this story plays with expectations. You have the mighty military tech, the chariots, rendered useless. You have the male military leader whose hesitation costs him the ultimate glory. And then you have victory, delivered decisively, shockingly, by a woman using a domestic tool. It makes you wonder, perhaps, about where real power and agency lie and how often pivotal moments in history, or even in our own lives, turn on the actions of unexpected people in unforeseen circumstances. What looks like weakness or obscurity might hold the key.
That's a great point. Unexpected people, unexpected methods leading to huge shifts. Lots to think about there. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.